Hello and a very warm welcome to Matchpoint. This is your new show here on CCTV Africa that brings you sports news, action, features and highlights from across the African continent. I'm Mahia Mutua. Here's what's coming up in the next half hour. Cloud of doping hangs heavy over Kenya as athletics body confirms that marathoner Rita Jeptor has failed a drugs test. South Africa football captain to be laid to rest near Durban on Saturday. And in basketball, the New York Knicks spoil LeBron James's big night as they beat the Cavaliers 95-90. Welcome to Matchpoint. Now, Kenya's athletics doping body, Athletics Kenya, has tonight confirmed the 2014 Boston and Chicago marathon winner Rita Jeptor has failed an out-of-competition drugs test. Jeptor's A sample reportedly tested positive on September the 25th, said a statement released earlier this evening. Athletics website Run Blog Run first reported that Jeptor, who has been dominant in the women's field for 2 years now, tested positive early on Friday. The 33-year-old won consecutive titles in Boston and Chicago between 2013 and 2014. The news comes in the wake of a report by a local task force in Kenya, which reported that doping was a real problem among athletes. The runner has since refuted the claims. Athletics Kenya said its medical and anti-doping commission will meet next week with Jeptor to establish whether she would wish to exercise her right to order for testing of a B sample. Now, for more on an issue that is threatening to tarnish the image of one of the world's athletics powerhouses, we're joined in studio by Douglas Wakiori, a former marathon world champion here in Kenya. Douglas, thanks for joining us tonight. Now, even as we wait for Rita's B sample, can we confidently now say that there is a problem in Kenyan athletics as far as doping is concerned?
Yeah, I think as we go back to what the cabinet minister said, I think a few weeks ago, I think they said that we have 37 cases.
Yes.
And I think it's a problem now that has to be tackled. And I think the federation should be the first one to come in line and say, yes, we have a problem and let's deal with it.
Okay, now, obviously, when these doping cases come to the fore, all the focus is on the athlete, but sometimes the managers and their trainers don't get as much of the blame. Do you think that they should shoulder part of the blame when these doping cases come to the fore?
I think we need to look at from the agent point of view. If they are capable of advising an athlete and arranging the events to the World Championship or whatever it is, and do it so well, then I think they should also be accountable when an athlete tests positive. And it should not only be the athletes to be punished, even the agent himself should get the punishment together with the athlete.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, doping is obviously a big problem all over the globe, and it's starting to creep into Kenya. Like you said, more than 30 cases in recent years. What changed since the days when you were hitting the track? What is different?
I think the way we looked at marathon itself, we were there to perform and enhance the image of this country. And for now, I think it has gotten harder. The athletes have become fewer, competition is very high, so most of athletes will want to try and get a shortcut to the top. But I think that it's only me and you who can be so good in discipline, and of course, the agent who is direct me or my coach must also be part and parcel of the discipline so that you can be more patriotic rather than tarnish the country's image.
Right, so you agree that it shouldn't just fall on the athlete's shoulders?
Yeah, that's for sure. You know, why should an athlete be punished and yet the agent is enjoying and get another athlete to do the same thing? Okay. And in this case, I think we have one agent who has gotten 2 athletes testing positive.
Right.
I don't think he should be able to manage our athletes anymore.
Another athlete. Now,
yes.
Finally, how can Kenya salvage its image in all of this?
I think it all goes back to the federation. They must up their equipment, they must up their game and make sure that whatever is needed to control all these doping athletes should be in place. If they don't have, they should ask for assistance. But we should learn to accept when a mistake is there and let us all fix it. Because it is not only for us, it's going to affect even the next generation of runners that is coming. We are having only 2016 in the Olympics coming.
Right.
And I think I heard that from the doping control that Kenya was supposed to be banned not to participate in the Olympics, or we fix our problem in doping.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's starting to cost Kenya.
It is, yes, definitely.
Douglas, thank you very much for joining us tonight in studio. Douglas Wakihuri, former marathon world champion here in Kenya, joining us in studio. Now, still on this story, the ceremony to award this year's World Marathon Majors champion has been postponed in the wake of Rita Jeptor's doping allegations. The ceremony was due to take place after the New York Marathon on Sunday, which is the last race in the series of 6 city marathons. As the first athlete in history to garner maximum points in the race, Jeptor was guaranteed the women's title even before the series was even over. Now, should Jeptor be stripped, then compatriot Edna Kiplagat is in line for the $500,000 check. Kiplagat will be among the women's field in New York, which marks the return of Kenya's fastest female marathoner, Mary Keitany. In the men's field, new world record holder Dennis Kimeto will be hoping the man that he succeeded as record holder Wilson Kipsang does not win in the Big Apple. This because should Kipsang win, then he would beat Kimeto to the majors prize by a point. 2014 Boston Marathon champion Meb Keflezighi isn't in the running, but Americans will be hoping that he can spring a surprise like in Boston.
Any marathon is a test of patience. If you can negative split it, you're going to be better off, and that's what I would do. That's what it's going to take, I think, negative split to be able to do even on the win. So it might be 106, 107, and come back 101 or whatever, or it might be 105 and then come back 101. So it's just going to be different of tactics, and we have all this kind of energy. At one point, should we make that move, and how do we to get to that finish line, because you got to have some left toward the end, and you can't just let it all out at 17 miles.
Right, let's go to a break now here on Match Point, but coming up in part 2. South African football captain to be laid to rest near Durban on Sunday. Welcome back to Matchpoint. To South Africa now, and the National Prosecuting Authority has confirmed that one suspect has appeared in court in Boksburg in connection with the murder of Orlando Pirates and Bafana Bafana captain Senzo Meyiwa. The 25-year-old made a brief appearance in the Boksburg Magistrates Court and has applied for legal aid. The matter has been postponed to the 11th of November. Meanwhile, on Saturday, Meyiwa will be laid to rest near Durban. The goalkeeper was shot and killed last Sunday in an apparent robbery, and as Dan Williams now reports, the death left a void in the country's football community as well as the nation as a whole.
The Rand Stadium in Johannesburg, the training base for Orlando Pirates, and normally a hive of activity each morning. But today the ground is empty. Instead of preparing for their most important match of the season and the Soweto derby against arch rivals Kaizer Chiefs, the Pirates players are in Durban getting ready to bury their captain. Senzo Meyiwa was shot at this house last Sunday. His death, especially in such violent circumstances, shocked the nation. At a news conference the following day, the Pirates players could not hide their grief, and neither could the Bafana coach.
As we were sitting, deliberating, preparing for the oncoming match against Sudan,
At a joint memorial service, Meyiwa's life and career was widely celebrated.
We never forget King. I don't think he can beat another Senzo in his ability, his character aspect. Why he left there, he left the legacy to South Africa to qualify for AFCON. And this is why we're going to remember King, and this is what I say. We will never going to have another Senzo again.
It's going to be a very dark day for the Bafana players and for the Pirates players, because he was somebody that led with his actions, you know. He was leading by example, so I think it's going to be a big loss and they're going to be very devastated by what happened this weekend.
Mawiwa kept 4 consecutive clean sheets to put South Africa on the brink of AFCON qualification. The upcoming qualifier against Sudan has now been moved to Durban, near to Mawiwa's final resting place. It is clearly going to be an emotionally charged occasion.
Now you must understand the psychological frame in which our players find themselves. Many of them went back to England saying, "Captain, we'll see you in the goalposts against Sudan." And now they must go and see him in his grave. And we need that closure, we need to take them. And CAF understood that and agreed that we will take the match to Durban as a dedication to Senzo, celebration of his life and contribution.
The country is still coming to terms with Mawiwa's death, but the healing process for South African football is only just beginning. Dan Williams, CCTV, Johannesburg.
Now, death cast its shadow over South Africa this month, with 2 other sports personalities also being laid to rest tomorrow. Boxer Findile Mwelase and former 800 meters world champion Mbulaeni Mulaudzi. Mulaudzi will be buried in Limpopo even as tributes continue to pour in on Friday. 2008 Olympic champion in the 800 meters, Kenya's Wilfred Bungei, who competed with the fallen star for many years and calls the athlete by his nickname Mbuli, says he remembers the South African not only as a great competitor but also as a friend. Fellow South African athlete Ezekiel Sepeng, who won silver at the 1996 Olympics in the 800 meters, bid farewell to a man he says brought honor to the country. Now, Olympic gold medalist Chad le Clos says he is looking forward to renewing his rivalry with Michael Phelps. South African le Clos beat Phelps to gold at the London Olympics in the 200 meters butterfly, later saying that his win was totally unexpected. Phelps has since retired, but his comeback at the sport faced a major blow after he was served with a 6-month ban by USA Swimming after being arrested for drink driving. Le Clos will have to wait a little bit longer to race against the American, but he is looking forward to the challenge when the two finally meet. Meanwhile, the executive director of swimming's world governing body, FINA, says Phelps should not be judged too harshly on his latest indiscretion.
I think now with Michael back, it's really re-sparked my fire, so to speak, in many ways. And I believe that he's still going to be really good in Rio. I don't believe that he will be worse than he was. I think he'll be back where he wants to be. He's a champion in all respects, and I think that I believe that I can beat him again.
He is Phelps. He's going to be Phelps. He has the biggest number of achievements. Then I don't think so. We have to characterize him by one accident.
Right now, golf here in Kenya is often considered elitist at best, with those with access to club membership often being the few able to truly enjoy the sport. The Kenya Golf Union continues to try and overcome this hurdle, but with an increasing number of tournaments around the country and a program to get the country's youth involved in the game, they feel that the challenges are becoming fewer and fewer.
The Kenya Airways Golf Safari will tee off this weekend in Nairobi, the first of 28 tournaments to be held in Africa, Asia and Europe. The competition is aimed at boosting the development of a sport which is considered elitist, especially in the continent, and will be held in 13 countries.
It means we are able to give our amateur players and even pros this time a chance to play golf, because usually the problem with most clubs, sometimes they lack sponsorships. To sponsor a tournament is something which is expensive.
This is about creating sustainable development right across Africa. For me, golf is about deepening relationships. We fly to a lot of destinations in Africa and in the world. We have, as a people who fly with us, a lot of golfers.
As the Safari Golf Tournament enters its 4th year, the sport still faces challenges in Kenya.
However much we try to popularize this game, we do know that to get into a golf club, it is quite a bit, because I think the cheapest cannot be less than 100,000. So it's quite a bit. But once the public golf course comes up, we are sure it will go a long way in assisting us develop the game.
The Kenya Golf Union says the youth hold the key to development of the game as they put in place age group programs across the country. But the seniors haven't had any luck at major success. A local is yet to win the Kenya Open, which is the country's largest golf tournament and forms part of the European-based Challenge Tour.
The Kenya Open, players playing the Kenya Open, they need a lot more exposure, both in the country and also out of the country. So that is also part of the initiative which we are taking. Our national team, we are looking for more and more international tournaments where we'll be taking our national team for exposure, so at least they can be able to match the level of the players who come for the Kenya Open.
The Safari Tour will offer them the much-needed exposure, with a grand finale prize of tickets to the 2015 British Open, a huge incentive for many participating golfers. Celestine Carone, CCTV.
All right, stay with us here on Match Point, but there's plenty more still to come, including the New York Knicks spoil LeBron James's big night as they beat the Cavaliers 95-90.
Sports Scene, the heart and soul of sport.
Welcome back. You're watching Match Point. Now, it may have been more than 40 years ago, or rather 40 years ago exactly today, but the residents of Kinshasa still fondly remember the titanic clash between Muhammad Ali and George Foreman. The rumble in the jungle took place in Congo in 1974, pitting two of the world's biggest names in the ring against each other in a match that changed the world of boxing forever.
The world-famous rumble took place in Kinshasa, then the capital city of Zaire, and now the Democratic Republic of Congo. For those who weren't even there on October 30th, 1974, the impact and memory of the fight at the Tata Raphael Stadium lives on.
It is here that Muhammad Ali and Foreman had their fight, and it's here that we have the memory of all they have done for their country. And as a son of this country, today I honor this country. That is why I'm proud to come here where the battle of the century took place. And it makes me want to evolve and do better than what happened then, because this is also our time.
The fight was supposed to take place on September 25th, but Foreman cut his eye in training, so it was postponed to October the 30th. The personalities of the two men could not have been any further apart in the build-up to the fight.
Ali came here and bought a cane of ivory. He sang, he cried out to everyone around him. He took photos with everyone. He was with all the Congolese at that time. Everyone encouraged him to win the fight, so this is how he won the fight. But when it was Foreman, he was not nice to the Congolese. He clung to white skin. When he came to the market, he did not want to greet us. He did not reach out to his Congolese brothers. Yet when we look at the skin of Ali and Foreman, we think Ali was a lot closer to our skin.
Ali had won the title in 1964 as Cassius Clay when he beat Sonny Liston, who then lost it to Joe Frazier, who was himself defeated by Foreman. In Kinshasa, Ali took the title back by knocking Foreman out in the 8th round. The impact of that fight is still relevant in the country to this day.
At the time in Zaire, Congo-Kinshasa was the biggest fight of the century, and this fight has never happened anywhere else, and it remains history today. Now the fights that take place are not like the Ali versus Foreman fight. In the fights today, there is no atmosphere like the fights of yesterday. It is very, very different.
And even beyond Congo's borders,
the whole world remembers this great event. It was in Brussels that there was the same relations between Belgium and the Congo. This fight was broadcasted in all schools. I was 18 years old. I remember very well that we all got up in boarding school to see the match with the Jesuits.
for the fans in the titular jungle where that fight took place 40 years ago, it will live long in the memory. Susan Mungeli, CCTV.
To the NBA now, LeBron James was fired up from the moment he stepped onto the court for the pre-game warm-up and was treated to a thunderous ovation before the game by the Cleveland fans on his return to his hometown after 4 years in Miami. James managed his first basket of the game on a layup in the first quarter that gave the home side a 14-8 edge. Though he started poorly by shooting just 1 of 9 from the field in the first half, he finished with 17 points from 5 of 15 attempts. Shane Larkin's three-pointer in the second quarter cut the visitors' deficit to 38-35. With the shot clock running down in the third quarter, Knicks guard Pablo Prigioni made a 31-foot three-point jump shot to give New York a 59-55 advantage. The Knicks eventually maintained their momentum to a 95-90.
Well, my shooting is, a lot of me, just out of rhythm. I think my turnovers, some of them was careless, some of them was chemistry. I'm throwing passes where I was hoping that some of my teammates were, and they were not there, and that will come with each game, will come with each practice. Us continue to learn each other. There was one in the corner where Kyrie, I thought he was going to stay in the corner, he cut back door. There was another one late where I thought Kevin was going to kind of roll, he popped. Those things will come. It's one game, and we got to learn from this. We got, it's great. To have a game like this, especially early on, it's good for us to learn from the experience that we had tonight and get better.
To golf, and the BMW Masters continued on Friday at the Lake Malaren Golf Club in Shanghai on Friday. Belgium's Nicolas Colsaerts replaced Alexander Levy at the top of the leaderboard with an impressive scorecard of 64, 8 strokes under par. Friday capped a good day for both on the course, with the Belgian recording 8 birdies and Levi 7. With a single bogey apiece, Colsaerts now sits on a total of 14 under par, while Levi is close behind on 13 under. Levi recently edged out Colsaerts to win the Portugal Masters despite the impressive opening round of 60 recorded by the Belgian. Denmark's Thomas Bjorn could have been a lot higher than 7th place had he not bogeyed the first and gone 3 over on a nightmare third hole. Finally, South Africa has a great chance of winning the Cricket World Cup next year. That's the view of 2 legendary players, Jacques Kallis and Graeme Smith. The pair were speaking at the recent Cricket Sixes tournament in Johannesburg, which included more than just a few familiar faces. Dan Williams now reports.
The Cricket Sixes tournament may look like a Sunday Village knockabout, but amongst the decidedly average players were some legends of the game. South African-born England batsman Kevin Pietersen was among those to take part. But the prize autograph for many was that of all-rounder Jacques Kallis, who earlier this year, at the age of 38, finally decided to retire from international cricket.
I just said the day I wake up and I said I've had enough. I'm not going to go past that point. It's not fair on myself or the teammates. The day I don't feel like giving 100%, I said I would stop, and that's how I felt. It was enough time just before the World Cup to give the new guys coming in a chance to bond with the new side. And like you said, I'm still playing a little bit of cricket. So, once I finish that, I'll take some proper time out and then make some decisions there.
The Cricket Sixes tournament was founded by former Proteas Graeme Smith, Justin Kemp and Mark Boucher. The idea is simple. Corporate cricket teams bid for star players for the day, with all the profits going to charity.
It's just a unique way of raising money for charity. We go to so many dinners around the world where it's this guy's t-shirt, this guy's boxing gloves, this bloke's boots. Here they've had to auction off people to the relevant teams. All goes to charity, all for fun. We turn up here, have a great golf day yesterday, a brilliant day here, and it's a brilliant concept.
One of the charities that will benefit from the event is Boucher's Rhinos in Safe Hands project that aims to collect the DNA of each rhino in South Africa and establish a database. That helps assist in the forensic prosecutions of rhino poachers and acts as a deterrent against poaching.
You know, I've been on a few dartings and that where we've collected the DNA of the rhinos and try to protect them, and it really is a life-changing experience to see those big animals, you know, the way they are, and to know you're making a difference, you know, to the wildlife of our country.
Although this event is more about the fun of the day and the charity aspect, the more serious business of the Cricket World Cup is fast approaching. And although both Smith and Kallis failed to land that prize, they have high hopes for the current team.
I'm excited. I think the conditions in Australia and New Zealand will suit us. I think the team is shaping up well. We've got really dynamic match winners on the batting front and the bowling front. You know, I'm holding thumbs. I think hopefully everything's aligning.
You know, it's a pretty settled side now, and guys know their roles. I think it's been shown in their results as well, and the type of cricket they've played. So as long as they keep playing the cricket they have and you know, playing nice, calm cricket and clever cricket, I think they're in with a big shot, and the guys can relax and just play.
Some of the legends here demonstrated that they still had the skill, others less so. But at least each one could say they've gone into bat to help save the rhino. Dan Williams, CCTV, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Right now, following the tragic death this past week of Senzo Meyiwa, we take a look at the top 5 African sportsmen who died at the peak of their careers. At number 5 is Kenya's Aberdeen Shikoi. Shikoi was captain of the Kenya women's rugby team. She suffered a spine injury during a match with the national side before passing away in April 2012, aged 27. At number 4 is a man who could have made a major difference to Nigeria's hopes at the 1990 Italia World Cup. Samuel Okwaraji was a squad player with the Super Eagles and enjoyed a career at such European clubs as Dinamo Zagreb and VfB Stuttgart. He collapsed on the pitch during a World Cup qualifier against Angola in Lagos at the age of 25. And number 3 is the death of Marc-Vivien Foé in 2003 that shocked the football world. The Cameroonian footballer who had played for Manchester City and Lyon collapsed on the pitch at the Confederations Cup at the age of 28. At number 2, Samuel Wanjiru was a Kenyan Olympic gold marathon winner. The up-and-coming athlete won gold in London and Chicago and held the unofficial half-marathon world record in 2007 before dying in mysterious circumstances in 2011. Finally, in 1993, Zambian football was rocked to its roots when the entire national football team was killed on a flight to Senegal for a World Cup qualifier. The accident marked a huge loss for the nation's football aspirations for the World Cup, and a team was quickly assembled that even went all the way to the Africa Cup of Nations finals against Nigeria. Well, that's it for this edition of Matchpoint. Remember, you can send your feedback to us at matchpoint@cctv.com. You can also visit our Facebook page, CCTV Africa, or stay in touch with us on Twitter using the handle @CCTV News Africa. Well, thanks for watching. Let's do this again next week.